Deputy Minister, Director General, and of course our colleagues in the media, this afternoon at 2 o'clock I'll present the budget vote of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation in the National Assembly. The debate in Parliament provides us with an opportunity to outline how we plan to utilize the budget allocated to the department to support progress on the priorities set by our President, Cyril Ramaphosa, during the recent State of the Nation address. On the budget, my department's total budget allocation for 2019-20 financial year is 6.508 billion. 68% of it is utilized to support our 125 missions in 108 countries across the globe. We've had to begin discussions in our department on how we might do more with our very limited resources. A major challenge of our budget, particularly with respect to missions abroad, is the effect of foreign exchange rate fluctuations, particularly the performance of the rand against the US dollar. Treasury allocates according to a specific rate and subsequently makes no compensatory adjustments. But DIRCO, like all other government departments, has not been spared from the necessary budget cuts implemented by National Treasury. So while we voice this concern, we're not in any way derogating from the fact that the country is confronted by financial challenges. We're concerned that our compensation of employees budget has been reduced from 2,964 million in the 2018-19 financial year to 2,874 million for this new financial year. This situation is going to require the department to find innovative and effective ways of doing more with less. We may have to review our mission numbers and consider whether a reorganization is merited. We are expected to utilize public resources in a very careful manner, following all the prescripts as provided in law and in particular the Public Finance Management Act. We have been found wanting in previous audits. Thus, I have urged the department to focus on developing seamless financial management to ensure we meet the mandate assigned to us. I've asked the Director General and his senior management team to attend to all the matters raised by the Auditor General, as well as the Portfolio Committee on International Relations and Cooperation, with regards to our previous audit outcomes, in order to improve and also to ensure we practice good governance and transparent accountability systems are put in place and observed by all of us. With respect to our priorities for 1920, as you are fully aware, the President plays a key role in the execution of our foreign policy and international relations. It is the President's prerogative to appoint heads of mission. So all those people are writing to me asking to be appointed ambassadors. It's not my duty. It is his prerogative to receive foreign heads of mission, to conduct state-to-state relations, and to negotiate and sign all international agreements. Our mandate as the department is to work towards the realization of South Africa's foreign policy objectives as set out by the President and our Cabinet. We do this through the following means. We coordinate and align South Africa's international relations. We monitor developments in the international environment. We communicate government's policy positions throughout the world. We develop and advise government on policy options and on creating mechanisms and objectives for using international relations to achieve our objectives. We also work at protecting our country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And we contribute to the creation of an enabling international environment for South African business abroad. We also seek out and source developmental assistance where we need it, and we provide assistance to South African citizens abroad. So, given these then mandates, we've directed all our missions to really pay attention to aligning their work to making sure they contribute to the key priorities identified by President Cyril Ramaphosa in the State of the Nation address introduced in the 6th Parliament. I expect our missions to focus increasingly on economic diplomacy through making sure they facilitate more foreign direct investment in support of the President's drive to attract at least US $100 billion to South Africa. We want more opportunities for the export of South African goods and services, more tourist arrivals, and more opportunities for South African youth to acquire skills. I also think South Africa has a lot to offer the world in terms of cultural diplomacy. I've asked our missions to make sure they don't neglect this part of our work. We have a wealth of heritage in struggle or liberation terms, in history, and we should share this through cultural exchange programs and other activities. This would assist our artists to showcase their talent and attract thousands to experience South Africa. Our foreign policy as South Africa is and has always been based on our vision of championing an African continent which is prosperous, peaceful, and democratic. A South Africa that is non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and united, and which works for a world that is just and equitable. 2 weeks ago, I hosted the traditional post-SONA meeting with ambassadors and high commissioners accredited to South Africa. And I said in that meeting that I intend to use the opportunity of the budget vote speech to give a more detailed account of South Africa's foreign policy and what we consider to be our priorities. And as I do everywhere where I go in the past 5 weeks, I also said I'm a novice at this art of diplomacy. And so should I err in any way, they will in this instance forgive me since I am learning the trade. Our speech this afternoon will seek to do the following. We will reiterate the centrality of the African continent to our foreign policy. The essence of our foreign policy is to improve the living conditions of South Africans and contribute to the well-being of our fellow Africans, as well as all those who are yearning for peace, human security, and prosperity in the world. It is in our interest that Africa is peaceful, politically united, and economically successful. We've just returned from the African Union Extraordinary Summit in Niger, where we witnessed the launch of the operational phase of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The coming into operation of the agreement is a clear demonstration that there's political will amongst Africa's leaders to integrate the economies of our continent, thereby creating new opportunities for greater volumes of trade among African countries. We will also recommit our country to the principles of multilateralism. South Africa remains an active member of the Community of Nations, and we are committed to multilateralism as enshrined in the United Nations Charter. We are also active in other multilateral institutions, including the G20, the G77 plus China, our BRICS membership, the Non-Aligned Movement, IORA, and many other organizations. South Africa is serving as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council for the period 2019 to 2020. Our tenure in the Security Council is dedicated to the legacy of President Nelson Mandela, who was known for his commitment to peace. Our term will be an opportunity for our country to advocate for support for the African Union's goal of silencing the guns on the continent by 2020. Lastly, we will confirm today our continuing solidarity with countries that are enduring hardship. The people of Palestine, the people of Western Sahara, and the people of Cuba have become accustomed to our statements of solidarity with them as they first face difficulties which must be resolved peacefully and through diplomatic means. We shall urge for more to be done to assist them. I'm looking forward to the debate following the speech. In particular, I'm looking forward with great hope to the views and suggestions of members of Parliament on how we can realize our vision of an African continent that is prosperous, peaceful, and democratic. A South Africa that is democratic and united, and which works for a world that is just and equitable. That is really the core, the essence of what we want to achieve. And we are hoping, as Parliament directs itself to international relations and cooperation, it is this ethos that will drive their interface with our work. Thank you very much for your presence here and for your attention.